Greetings, Elderly Vegan here, and welcome to episode 5 regarding the 12 hallmarks of aging and how to live a longer and healthier life by slowing down these classic hallmarks with a whole food, plant-based diet. In this episode, I will be discussing how the accumulation of non-functional cellular debris and worn-out cellular components become increasingly difficult to break down and recycle as we age. And this cellular garbage becomes problematic as it accumulates because it is highly associated with the development of chronic diseases. And this process of getting rid of cellular garbage is known as autophagy. This concept was mentioned several times in my previous video involving the tendency of proteins to become dysfunctional as we age because they too are a type of cellular garbage. So although some of the information will overlap with what I presented in my last episode, this video contains considerably more information on the topic of autophagy, which was not mentioned in the last episode. And the technical term for this hallmark is referred to as disabled autophagy because the ability to recycle cellular garbage declines with age. And I should mention, this hallmark of aging is also referred to as disabled macroautophagy, but it still refers to the same process nonetheless. And if this cellular garbage is left to accumulate, it ultimately becomes incompatible with life. And as mentioned in my last video, there are multiple ways to induce autophagy, with caloric restriction and fasting as being the gold standard. But there are supplements too which activate this process, and in this case, the phytonutrient resveratrol probably has received the most attention. And in this regard, resveratrol will need to be taken in supplement form as food sources simply do not contain enough. Other ways to activate autophagy include intense aerobic exercise and intense strength training. As you may also remember from the last episode, that both heat and cold therapy induce autophagy, while even the high fiber content in a whole food plant-based diet indirectly helps because it stabilizes insulin levels, while adequate sleep is also a factor by clearing out non-functional proteins and other cellular debris as we sleep. But from here on out, we'll definitely be entering new territory, and I suspect you will get your money's worth because I have 2 new concepts which will be great additions to your word hoard. Word hoard, by the way, is a term I picked up from reading Lord of the Rings, and I have included it here because this video needs all the comic relief it can possibly get. Anyway, this first concept I want to introduce is referred to as the AMPK pathway, and suffice it to say that when activated, the AMPK pathway switches your body into a process where you start to cannibalize your own fat reserves. And when one starts to cannibalize their fat storage, they simultaneously engage autophagy outside of any severe energy crisis, that is. And this helps to clear out cellular debris and non-functional proteins. Now then, while doing the research for this episode, I came across what I regard as stunning information. Apparently, the polyphenols in extra virgin olive oil and the phytoestrogens in flaxseed oil have the ability to activate the AMPK pathway. This means the nutrients in these oils begin the process of actually cannibalizing your own fat reserves. However, by no means does this cancel out or negate the high caloric content of these oils, but at least it appears to be a step in the right direction by helping activate autophagy. Now then, Here are some other foods and beverages which help either directly or indirectly. First up is a phytonutrient with the curious name of spermidine. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to guess where it was first discovered. Yet spermidine is also found in many foods as well, including tempeh, mushrooms, mango, soybeans, broccoli, and lentils, to name a few of the more spermidine-rich foods. Other noteworthy items which help to activate autophagy include pomegranate, the spice turmeric, and the beverage green tea is also noteworthy due to its famous polyphenol known as EGCG. And coffee activates autophagy due to its polyphenol known as chlorogenic acid. And that is in addition to the caffeine, which also activates autophagy. Continuing on, one's choice of protein also plays a significant role with regard to the process of autophagy. And before I go down this rabbit hole, here comes that second technical concept which isn't exactly common household terminology. It is referred to as mTOR, and I will spare you the details of what mTOR stands for because no one refers to it by its full name anyway. They call it mTOR. But suffice it to say, mTOR functions as the master regulator of growth. That's what you want to remember, the master regulator of growth. For this reason, you most definitely want to ramp up mTOR early in life when you are actively growing. Yet ramping up mTOR later in life has a downside because it's associated with the development of deadly chronic diseases. Okay, now that I have that out of the way, we can return to one's choice of protein, which has a direct bearing on this issue. Of the 20 or so amino acids which make up human protein, 2 of them are much more inclined to ramp up mTOR than the others. And those 2 amino acids are methionine and leucine. And without a doubt, the richest sources of these 2 amino acids are found in meat and dairy. And when you ramp up mTOR, you simultaneously shut down autophagy, which is precisely what you don't want to do later in life. I should probably mention that plant-based foods do indeed contain both methionine and leucine, but to a much lesser extent. And apparently, the amount of these 2 amino acids in plant-based protein is not sufficient to ramp up mTOR such that it shuts down autophagy. At any rate, I hope you survived all the technical concepts I subjected you to, but then again, these are concepts worth remembering, as you will encounter them time and time again on your nutritional journey. To your good health, the elderly vegan.